1. Before the beginning, Native America. For over 15,000 years, countless native nations lived across the continent. The Iroquois built powerful confederacies. The Navajo and Apache ruled the deserts. The Mississippians raised cities like Cahokia, larger than medieval London. This land was alive with cultures, languages, and civilizations, long before the world called it the New World. 2. 1492, the Age of Discovery. In 1492, Christopher Columbus crossed the Atlantic, opening the floodgates of European exploration. Spanish ships conquered the South and West. France carved out Canada and the Mississippi Valley. Britain built 13 colonies along the Atlantic coast. A new world was being shaped, often through conflict, disease, and the collapse of native populations. But it was also a world where new societies began to rise. 3. The 13 colonies and the road to revolution. By the 1700s, the British colonies bustled with farmers, merchants, and immigrants chasing new lives. But after the costly French and Indian War, Britain taxed the colonies heavily. No taxation without representation. That cry echoed from Boston to Philadelphia. Protests turned to rebellion. Rebellion to revolution. On July 4, 1776, the Continental Congress declared independence, not just from a king, but from the old idea that people were subjects, not citizens. 4. The American Revolution, a new nation rises. For 8 long years, the young nation fought the world's strongest empire. Washington crossed icy rivers. France joined the American cause. At Yorktown, the British finally surrendered. In 1787, the U.S. Constitution was written, creating a system of government built on checks, balances, and the belief that power belongs to the people. The United States of America was born. 5. The 1800s, expansion, innovation and conflict. The 19th century transformed America. The Louisiana Purchase, 1803. President Jefferson bought land from France, doubling the nation overnight. Westward Expansion. Pioneers crossed mountains, deserts, and prairies. The idea of manifest destiny, the belief that America was destined to stretch from sea to shining sea, drove millions westward. Railroads connected coast to coast. Cities rose. Immigrants from Europe poured in, reshaping the nation's identity. But progress came at a cost. Native peoples were pushed from their homelands. New states argued over slavery, splitting the nation in two. 6. The Civil War, or America's darkest hour. In 1861, North and South erupted into the Civil War, the deadliest conflict in American history. Abraham Lincoln led the Union with one goal: to preserve the nation. But by 1863, he expanded the mission, issuing the Emancipation Proclamation, declaring millions of enslaved people free. After 4 brutal years, the Union prevailed. Slavery was abolished. But the scars of war would take generations to heal. 7. The rise of industrial America. After the Civil War, America surged forward. Factories, steel mills, and railroads powered the Gilded Age. Inventors changed the world, Edison with the light bulb, Bell with the telephone. Immigrants from Europe and Asia fueled the labor force, dreaming of a better life. Skyscrapers climbed into the sky. Cities like New York, Chicago, and San Francisco boomed. America was becoming a global economic giant. 8. World Wars and global leadership. World War I, 1917 to 1918. The U.S. entered the war, tipping the balance and proving its growing power. The Great Depression, 1929. A devastating economic collapse left millions unemployed until President Roosevelt's New Deal helped rebuild the nation. World War II, 1941 to 1945. After Pearl Harbor, America mobilized the largest industrial army in history. U.S. forces fought across Europe and the Pacific, helping defeat Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan. When the war ended, the United States emerged as one of the world's 2 superpowers. 9. The Cold War, a battle of ideas. From 1947 to 1991, the USA and USSR clashed in a global struggle, not through direct war, but through ideology, technology, and influence. Americans landed a man on the moon. Allies formed NATO. Nuclear tensions shaped politics. When the Soviet Union collapsed, the United States stood as the world's sole superpower. 10. Modern America, challenges and change. The late 20th and early 21st centuries reshaped the country again. The rise of Silicon Valley. The 9/11 attacks and war on terror. The digital revolution. New social movements. Advances in science, medicine, and technology. Cultural influence across the globe. America remains a nation constantly reinventing itself, diverse, dynamic, and driven by the belief that the future can always be better. Ending, the idea of America. The history of the USA is not a straight line. It is a story of conflict and courage, division and unity, struggle and innovation. A nation built from many cultures. A nation defined not by borders, but by beliefs. Freedom. Opportunity. Democracy. Hope. 8. Yorktown. 1781. Cornwallis, Britain's most capable general, fortified Yorktown, Virginia. He expected evacuation by sea. But a French fleet blocked the bay. Washington and French General Rochambeau brought armies from the north. For once, the trap closed around the British instead of the Americans. Washington ordered trenches dug, guns placed, strategies executed with relentless precision. Sam watched the bombardment from a nearby ridge. The sky glowed red for days. On October 19th, Cornwallis surrendered. The sound of drums echoed across the fields, not victory drums, but the solemn beat of defeat. Sam saw Washington standing tall, not triumphant but humbled. He knew the war was not won by genius alone but by endurance. And by belief. 9. A nation born. 2 years later, the Treaty of Paris recognized the United States of America. Sam returned to Boston, opened a printing shop, and placed above his door a motto from the Declaration. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Adams went home to his farm. Jefferson to Monticello. Franklin to his experiments. Washington returned to Mount Vernon, hoping to live quietly at last. No one knew what the new nation would become. No one knew if it would live up to its own ideals. But the people had done something unprecedented. They had declared that ordinary men had the right to choose their government, a radical idea destined to echo across the world. Epilogue, the unfinished promise. Years later, Sam Carter would walk the streets of a growing nation, one with newspapers, schools, debates, elections, arguments, and dreams. He would tell apprentices in his printing shop. The revolution didn't end at Yorktown. It didn't end with the Declaration. Every generation has to fight for freedom in its own way. The words on that parchment were not a completion, they were a beginning.